Around this time 2 years ago, I was watching every YouTube video I could find about what college is like because I wanted to be fully prepared for when I went that fall. I'm now in my 4th semester as a mechanical engineering major, and I've made a few stupid decisions. Hi, I am Meki Caroline, and these are some things that I wish I knew my first year of college. I split all of my advice into topics, so first we're going to do friends, then class, then relationships, and ending with life. First up, here are some things that I wish I knew my first year about friends. I could have saved myself a lot of pain if I hadn't waited for something to happen. If your first week friends are giving bad vibes, stop hanging out with them. Everyone knows orientation friends don't last and everyone thinks that they're the exception, but you're probably not. Don't wait for something to happen like being told by a friend that you would need to either fuck them or never see them again and then run into them at a party where they're absolutely hammered and get kind of handsy with you even though you keep telling them to take their hands off of you, and then you leave to go to the bathroom and come back to find that your drink has been spiked and none of your friends warn you about it. Not that I'm speaking from personal experience. There's nothing wrong with meeting a whole bunch of different kinds of people and hanging out with a bunch of different groups. Taking a complete 180, my second piece of advice is to be more open with your new friends. Everyone is struggling to find a group that they feel comfortable with. Everyone's worried about whether or not they're making enough friends, and being open about that with some of your new friends is an easy way to get to know them a little bit better and have a bit of a deeper connection. Pretending that you're confident with your social life and have a lot of people to hang out with is not going to help you make good friends. You get very close to people in college compared to in high school because everyone is strangers with everyone else, so don't be afraid to be open with your new friends. This next one took me way too long to realize, but my fellow women in STEM know that it is so hard to make good friends with other women. If you don't make it a goal and prioritize your friendship with women, then it's just not gonna happen. My first semester, my only friend that was a girl was my roommate. And now I have 3 really close, great friends and a bunch of other girls that I hang out with like at least weekly, and my life is so much better for it. You need to have those close female relationships, especially when you're constantly surrounded by guys and they are going to disappoint you. So it's good to have a tight-knit group of girls that understand what it's like. For my fellow sheltered girlies, if you go from sheltered with no social life in high school to going out partying 3 to 4 times a week, that's not a good sign that you're getting out and having new experiences. That's a sign that you're experiencing FOMO from high school and trying to catch up on all the social life that you think you missed out on while you were in high school. Take a step back, see if what you're doing is helping or harming you, set some boundaries with yourself, and you'll be so much more happy and so much more comfortable. And you will definitely thank yourself when you are able to stay awake for your entire chem lecture for the first time in weeks. Something else that I wish I knew is that you become like those around you so much more than you did in high school. So I'm now known as a super outdoorsy person and I'm outside all the time. I'm constantly hiking or skiing, and I would not be this way if those aren't the type of people that I started hanging out with. In my dorm, you might kind of be able to see it behind me, but I have a bike, I have a downhill and a cross-country ski setup, I have snowshoes, I have a day pack and a backpacking pack, I have just so much outdoor gear. And I would not have any of this stuff in my room. I would not have a bike if I didn't make friends with the entire bike team. I would not have cross-country skis if my friends weren't really into skiing. I would not hike as much as I do if I hadn't made friends with an upperclassman with a car that liked hiking. In some ways, you're limited to doing what your friends with transportation want to do, but that's really a good thing because it lets you experience so much more and lets you get to figure out what you really like. The last thing I wish I knew about friends is something that might make me seem a little bit like a questionable person, but I wish I knew not to judge people and make assumptions on people. My orientation group was a bunch of guys, and a lot of them didn't really talk to me and were kind of awkward and weren't super open to engaging with me. So I decided to hang out with the more outgoing ones, and I'm still good friends with some of them, but I'm closer friends with the quieter ones. And I found that once I got to know them, they're just as outgoing as the other people, and I'm really glad I got to re-meet them later on because those are some of my best friends now and I really like them. They're super weird people, but I found that I have way more in common with them than I ever thought that I would. In high school, people like to tell you what college classes are going to be like, and what I found is that most of what people told me was wrong. So here are things that I wish I knew about college classes going into my first year. I used to get out of my last class on Friday and think, yay, it's the weekend, but in college, the weekend doesn't start until 6 to 8 p.m. on Friday. So when you get out of your last class, you need to grind. You need to do all of your homework that you can do until it's time to go out or settle in for the weekend. There's no shame in spending your Friday night in your bed knitting. I do it quite often, but if you're going to do that, you need to do your homework up until it's time for you to start relaxing. I used to say that I would get so much work done Saturday and Sunday, but I'm of the opinion that Sundays are for skiing and Saturdays are for hiking. I'm also in the pep band, so I'm at all of the hockey and basketball games, and I just do not get any work done on Saturdays and Sundays, and it took me way too long to realize that, and to realize that I need to be doing my homework on Friday, not waiting until Saturday and Sunday. If a professor or a club brings in a guest speaker, talk to them after lecture. Everyone always says networking is everything, but it really is. No matter your major, networking makes a huge difference. I'm a mechanical engineering major, as I said earlier, and I didn't think that networking was as important as it would be for some other majors, but the way to get internships is by knowing people. After your first year, the only people with internships are the people whose parents are engineers and gave them an internship. And that's even true for most people with internships after sophomore year. Everyone tells me that I have a really strong resume, but I applied to 30 internships and I only heard back from 3 of those companies. All 3 of the companies that I heard back from are ones that I met with at career fairs, so if I'd done a little bit more networking, I probably could have heard back from more than just 3. A huge regret of mine is taking extra classes instead of getting ahead. Freshman year, I took several optional classes, and now looking back, I wish that I had not taken them. They did not benefit me in any way, and it would have been so much better if I'd gotten ahead in mandatory classes. If at some point down the line you decide to change your major or add a minor or add 2 minors like I did, you're really going to appreciate having more open credits to add in your extra classes. So for me, I added an electrical engineering minor and a math minor, and it would be so much easier for me to take all of my electrical classes if I had gotten even further ahead than I did starting from the beginning. I wish I knew that making upperclassmen friends is awesome. When I was a freshman, I was so scared to talk to upperclassmen, but upperclassmen have access to cars, they have textbooks that they can give you homework answers. My upperclassmen friends will convince me to skip class to do something cool, and then they'll teach me the material that I missed. It's awesome. They're great people. They're super fun to hang out with. I love them, and I wish that I hadn't missed out on so much time hanging out with them because I was scared to talk to them just because they're upperclassmen. On a similar note, don't buy textbooks. If you can't find it on something like LibGen or the usual websites, look for it on Reddit. Reddit has everything, and if you can't find it on either of those, then ask around with upperclassmen because someone has a PDF that they can send it to you. I also wish I knew how important it is to teach other people material. If someone else is struggling in a class that you're doing well at, teach them. If you know something well enough to teach it, then you know it well enough for the exam, and it'll help you form a better connection with the person that you're helping. If I wasn't good at chem and the boy from my philosophy class my first semester was struggling with it, then I probably would not have become such good friends with him, and then by extension met a lot of my current friends, including someone that is a little more than my current friend. Let's be honest, everyone wants a relationship at some point in their college career. I came to college having never been in a relationship before, and I had a lot of misconceptions about what relationships in college look like. So here are some things that I wish I knew about relationships in college. First of all, you have to be safe. I was not thinking about safety when I was a freshman. I was just thinking about what was fun. And I put myself in some situations that could have gone a lot worse. And so you just have to be very conscious. If someone makes threats or something like that, then take it seriously. If someone starts to push your boundaries, trust that they will go further and take a step back. I came to college expecting that I would get into a long-term serious relationship, but to be honest, that's just not what a lot of people want in college. A lot of people want a hookup or something casual or a situationship or a long-term low-commitment casual girlfriend or something like that. I fell victim to a long-term situationship with a guy that I wasn't into because we were good friends and I was worried about losing his friendship, and I should not have done that. That's one of my biggest regrets from my first year. There are also people on the opposite side of the relationship spectrum. College is when age differences start to mean a little bit less. So that's how I came to be 19 after my freshman year of college and dating a 23-year-old incoming senior. We go to college over 400 miles away from each other, but we had the same internship over the summer. We started talking, hanging out, and then going on dates. I was 19 looking for a fun summer fling. He was 23 looking for his future wife. Things did not work out, needless to say. I was very clear about my intentions from the beginning. He said that he was okay with it, but he ended up just wanting something more serious, and I was not the person that he was looking for. After I was both the one that wanted a relationship and the one that didn't, I decided that it was time for me to take a break from relationships. Enter philosophy boy's best friend. My friend from philosophy class invited me to go backpacking with he and some of his friends. So I went and he introduced me to his best friend. I'd actually met his friend before. We'd been skiing together, we'd been to the beach together, but we hadn't really interacted. We were pretty quiet around each other in the beginning, but after a couple days we started warming up to each other and realized that we hated each other. So we spent the rest of the trip fighting. We've now been dating for quite a bit, and I wish I knew that these things just happen. You can't force a relationship with someone you don't like. You can't force someone to have something casual when they want a relationship. You just have to wait for something to happen, and eventually someone will come around that wants the same things you want, and maybe they will also be 6'5" and a national ranked athlete and hand makes you wooden bowls for your yarn. Be patient, it will happen eventually. I wish I knew that once you get into a relationship, it's not what it looks like in the movies. My boyfriend and I, we don't go on dates. We don't spend much time together alone. The only time we spent the night together since coming back to campus is when we snuck into the bike rental house after they checked for squatters, and we spent the night on a mattress that we found on the side of the road in the attic. We sit next to each other in class, and then I say, do you want to go get lunch? And then the kid sitting on the other side of me says, yeah, I want to join you. And then the three of you go get lunch. Roommates are always walking in at the same time. Watching a movie means having to coordinate schedules with 6 other people and make sure you have the room for 2 hours. It's really hard to go on dates. We both are too busy, and we're college students. We don't want to spend money on anything. Relationships in college are just really hard if you have high expectations. I'm fairly laid back, and so is my boyfriend, and so we have a lot of study dates. We go for bike rides, we go skiing, things like that. The last thing I wish I knew about relationships ties into the next topic, which is things I wish I knew about life. Your life changes so quickly, but your family's pretty much stays the same. And so you're gonna go home for breaks and you're gonna think you're a lot different than you were in high school, but your family still thinks that you're the same person. So I wish I knew that when I brought my boyfriend home for the first time, things were gonna be a little bit weird. After spending a semester sharing a twin XL and having movie nights regularly, we had to leave the door open to the basement if we wanted to play ping pong. And I had to tell my sister to tell my mom that I stayed in her room because my boyfriend and I weren't allowed to sleep in the same room. It's a pretty frustrating experience, but keep in mind that while your life has completely changed, your family's has stayed the same. Your life's changing a lot, so here are the things that I wish I knew about life. You might drink, you might smoke. I personally don't drink and I don't smoke that much. I wish I knew that it's fun to go out sober, but it's okay to not have fun when you go out sober sometimes too. Especially freshman year, I was going out to parties way too often and staying out way too late because I was afraid that if I didn't, then people would think that I was boring. Sometimes it's fun, but when it's not fun, you don't have to be there, you can leave. Okay, these next few are a little bit dark, so if you want to avoid mentions of death, go to this time. Your childhood dog is probably gonna die, and so will all of your friends. It's just kind of an unspoken thing that happens, and it's really sad, but no one really knows what to do about it, and so you just kind of acknowledge it and then move on. That sounds really awful to say, but it's true, so good luck navigating that. On a similar note, you might be unfortunate to go through something horrible while you're away from everyone you've ever known. And this is one of the reasons why it's important to make really good, close friends and to always be there for them and hope that they will always be there for you. I wish that I'd talked to my friends more when they were upset instead of being afraid that I was crossing some sort of boundaries, and I really hate to think about how things might be different if I had. The last thing that I wish I knew before going back to college is that everything is going to be okay. I am so much happier here than I could have imagined, and even though there are days when classwork is really stressful, or I feel lonely, or I wish I was doing something differently, there's always someone to look forward to seeing or something to look forward to doing. College can be a wonderful experience if you let it be. College might not be for you, you might drop out, you might transfer, you might change your major, and that is totally okay too. Okay, that's everything I have for this video, so if you're a high schooler looking for some advice, or a college student looking to not feel so alone, I hope that some of this was helpful for you. Have fun, be safe, good luck, and bye!